Pretty usual, everyone. Shows for educational purposes only and is not intended as financial advice. Set up Sunday. Once again, bit of a light week. Last week was AFK. This week, however, we do have JPOW on deck. We'll take a look at some Fed rate expectations. But the main story for the month of November has been bearishness in crypto, as well as outflows for BTC to the tune of almost 4 billion. Let's say 3.5 billion. Hard to go up if the main engine for going up is going in the opposite direction. It's really that simple. So the question for December in Q1 is going to be, okay, are we going to see muted flows, positive, negative? I doubt we'll see continuous outflows to the degree that we saw in November. But until the flows come back, it's certainly going to be harder for price to go up, just because this is where most of the money is coming into the ecosystem now. It's coming in through the ETFs. Looking at the weekly cloud for BTC, we are above the cloud, below the Kijun. Really awkward spot. Is it recoverable? Sure. But you never want to live here, because the problem is this just a bear flag waiting to break down? Is this just waiting to go through the cloud? That's why leveraging up here, buying here in a big way is tough, just because the trend is at risk. In a couple weeks, if we go nowhere, we will get a bearish TK cross on the weekly. That doesn't mean we have to go down, but if you backtest all of the bearish weekly TK crosses, typically that is the beginning of a significant down move or chop move. So yes, anything's possible, but what does it signal? It's signaling the non-likelihood of price going higher faster in the near term if moving average crosses are bearish. So this is not exactly a heartwarming picture for the bulls. On the daily, we have just huge mega turbo chop, maybe a W, maybe I don't even know. That's some sort of triangle thing. I got nothing. But again, this is not, to me, it's not screaming, oh, there's something here to do. It's really not. Now you could say, well, it's flat, it's sideways, it's trying to bottom. Okay. But again, I ask, are you confident in that? What does your sizing on that look like? Are you just buying to buy or just guessing? That's fine, but it doesn't feel like there's a trade yet that is presenting itself on the daily, the weekly. Now on the 4 hour, you do have a pretty decent case to be made that if we can hold 88.5 really, then there is a potential for a 4 hour recovery. This has been a multi-month downtrend on the 4 hour since hitting all-time highs. So if we can close above the cloud, everything is set and ready to go. There's no guarantee that this will go anywhere, obviously, but it's the first time in 2 months we're seeing something that's actually tradable to the long side on the 4 hour with a bullish TK cross, with a bullish cloud. And at that point, you have price above cloud. What has preceded that has been mega turbo chop, right? But again, this is the first time in 2 months on the 4 hour. Potentially this week, you get a signal for a long. And let's say, you think, well, it's good enough here. If it goes sideways, it's going to get out of the cloud. If it goes below 88.5, that's a stop loss level. So who cares? So why not just nibble now? And that's something to do. Absolutely. But the big thing is, what does it look like after it's out of the 4 hour cloud? Other high time frame stuff, we are hanging on to the bottom of the pitchfork here. But just like the cloud, you got to be honest with yourself on the weekly. If we drop below this pitchfork that we've held for multiple years, not a good sign. Not a good sign for immediate recovery, bull trend type stuff. That takes time to recover. So far so good, but it's kind of on thin ice up here. Some other ancillary stuff for BTC, 3350 Metaplanet is sort of trying maybe to start to curl up here. There's a question in most people's minds on these DATs whether or not they will ever have any premium that they've had prior. I could really care less about that personally. I think you're going to see some sort of premium eventually come back. So I wouldn't bet on premium. I would just look at the chart and say, okay, what does this look like? Well, it looks like it might be setting up for a move into 2026, assuming things are bullish, 480 to 1000. And this would be premium expansion is my guess relative to spot. But it's important to start looking at this stuff now and thinking, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to set this up? What am I going to buy? What am I going to place my stop loss? That sort of thing. MSTR, on the other hand, still doesn't look great. Now it's kind of free floating in a sense that it's way below the Tenkin, far below the Kijun. You have a TK C-clamp building here. Any mean reversion you'd think would go to like 260, 265, something like that. So that is a decent trade. But again, when are you confident enough to take that at what size? here tomorrow, a week from now, it's tough. I don't really see much of anything. You got a dragonfly, yes, but not much else. Not yet. Not yet. So there's this give and take between, okay, do you wait for a better signal, or do you just eat some of the risk now with the assumption it's going to make higher highs and it's going to take you with it? Some people like both, right? Some people like buying here and figuring out later because they'd rather not miss it. Now it is down, right? It is down significantly from July, but that's no guarantee it's going to bounce here or ever, just like anything else. I do think ETH structurally looks better. Double bottom's a little cleaner. I mean, this is like, it's still gross, right? This is not something that you're going to want to trade every day. But if you've sat out crypto and you're looking for things to do, I would look at the 4 hour, I'd look at ETH. I like ETH BTC, which I'll get to. You could say, again, any new lower lows, stop loss, done. See you later. Sayonara, shooting for 4,200. That's a decent setup here. ETH on the 4 hour as well hasn't been as clean as rejections on the cloud, but it's once again trying to get out of the 4 hour like BTC. And here's ETH BTC, which I think might be, I mean, I didn't look at all 10,000 alts, but might be one of the better charts out there right now just because of the clean signals. This to me, I would feel very confident if you get a series of higher highs here or a big higher high, that's the signal, just like it was down here. That's the signal to start going long ETH over BTC. Now it still may take this chart a month to get there, but it is setting up quite nicely with very obvious diagonals and breakouts, that sort of thing. So we're not quite there yet, but I do think the signals are very, very clean. And even on BMNR, MSTR, this is ETH versus BTC DAT wars, basically. You're getting a higher high that's holding here for the first time, really since inception, since launch on BMNR. And as many people have pointed out, this is probably because Tom Lee's buying a lot more ETH than Saylor's buying BTC, whether notionally or percentage of the network, whatever. BMNR is still buying, and MSTR is kind of struggling to continue to buy. So that's probably why this looks like it looks. But again, it favors ETH over BTC. Sol, I got nothing. I just put this in here because I know people are going to ask me, maybe this is a triple bottom, inverted head and shoulders, anything above 141. But like, again, where's the trade? Where's the setup? Where's the confidence? Where's the sizing? I don't see great setup here unless it's above 141. I would much rather just watch ETH BTC like a hawk, go big, big, big if this looks like it's going to break out, rather than sort of play around on MSTR and BMNR and all this other stuff. And you could trade this directly or just buy ETH instead of BTC, buy ETH instead of Sol, stuff like that. For this week, we do have JPOW on the hot mic. Market is pricing in a guaranteed, effectively, 25 basis point cut. That's not really the important thing here. The important thing is, what does he say about QE, if anything at all? If there is a modicum, a whiff, a soupçon of QE, markets probably explode. And on the legacy side, the TA is there, the table is set for prices to already move higher. We're seeing inverted head and shoulders, we're seeing cup and handles. We're not seeing that on crypto, right? Crypto's like struggling to get back to break even. Legacy's ready to go, ready to break out. DXY, by the way, ready to break down. So this is what you want to see, whether this is a head and shoulders, a double top, whatever. Still in bull territory on the cloud, but it's given back quite a bit, as you'd expect it would if the market moved to price in a cut over a hold. Still ranging neutral multi-month zone, but if this can break down, you would think that would help BTC. More importantly, this isn't breaking up anytime soon, likely, unless Powell just comes out super hawkish and says, as long as I'm Fed chair, you're not getting QE, something like that. But overall, this looks less bullish than it had been looking, definitely. I personally closed my UUP position, which was quite large, and rotated around into some other stuff, like Zoom, believe it or not. And this is also something that definitely needs to be watched closely, is the 10-year yield. If the long end folks get upset with the direction of monetary policy, you will see the 10-year yield go higher, bonds will sell off, and that may put a monkey wrench in the legacy breakout. And again, this is set up to break up. This is set up for bond vigilantes to get angry. It's already there. TA is already there. So when people say, if this happens, oh man, the 10-year went to 430 or whatever, like, yeah, it's already waiting, right? It's just waiting for something to push higher. But this is a fully formed, fully fledged inverted head and shoulders all day on yields. S&P also, right? It's sitting at highs, whether this is a cup and handle, whether this is an inverted head and shoulders, whether this is a failed head and shoulders, you're getting a bullish TK recross price above cloud after a huge move since April. So it wants to be bullish. It's just waiting for anything. And that anything could be Wednesday. IWM also just waiting. Maybe you get another shoulder, maybe you don't, but everything is setting up here for retracement and recovery and continuation. So you can either trade these as a breakout, start nibbling, start buying on low days, but this is a much, much, much different conversation than crypto right now. XLE also, if we want to add this to like the bearish pile, the energy stuff, the natural gas stuff looks very, very bullish. Typically, risk is inverse energy. So much like DXY, you probably don't want this breaking up. Caveat here being a lot of the AI stuff, a lot of the energy needs for AI, which is risk on, is pushing energy costs higher. That's probably why you're seeing this sort of trying to curl up here. But in any event, in a vacuum, this looks good. Does it look good enough to trade? Maybe. I mean, the cloud's on your side. You got a pattern. You had a failed multi-year pattern already. Doesn't look bad. Doesn't look bad. And here's another one, GDX. Bullish TK cross price above cloud. Cup and handle. What is there not to love about this? But my point is, relative to crypto, like if you want volatility and big returns, you know, gold miners is an option for you right now rather than trading Franklin the Turtle meme coin, right? Figs had an excellent week last week, and I'll continue to bring this up because this took years to play out. Years. Multi-year falling wedge that people were asking me as this was sort of breaking up, do I close here? No, you don't do anything. It took 3-4 years to form. Give it a year, give it 6 months, see where it goes. Because when we're looking at Zoom, and I know what it is. I know what it is, and it might fail, probably will. It's a garbage software, okay? Everybody who uses it hates it. I agree with that. However, you have a multi-headed, multi-shouldered, inverted head and shoulders, bullish TK recross price above cloud on the weekly. This just needs a little push. So for me, when the chart looks like this, it's ranged for a year. I push in pretty decently big, despite the fact that this has not broken out yet, because I'm comfortable that the time frame is going to help me out. It's easy to lie about a 4-hour move or a 6-hour move or even a multi-week move. It's hard to lie about the potential of a breakout on a multi-month consolidation. That's why I feel a little more confident. And that one, Reddit's another one. You know, again, if you're looking for like high flying volatility, set of head and shoulders bearish breakout that didn't go anywhere. It just stopped, right? So is this a failed head and shoulders? Is this a cup and handle? Hitting 600, 1,000 would be absolute insanity. I can't think of a world in which that would happen, but that's the measured move. This is a year long at this point, cup and handle, and a decent setup. Certainly worth a look. You're getting eventually here a bullish TK recross, bullish Kumo twist. That's going to come probably within the week, but this is also quite an interesting setup. And then lastly, Galaxy, again, if you're looking for like crypto stuff, maybe Circle, you take a look, maybe Backed, I don't know. Backed has given back most of it that it broke out with, but Galaxy does have a low time frame inverted head and shoulders. But if crypto does not do well, do not expect Coin, Galaxy, crypto companies to do well. I don't know who needs to hear that, but they are coupled. Absolutely, they are traded the same. It is rare to see something outperform the other. Possible, yes. Happens, yes. But when we're bearish on crypto like we are now, probably going to be harder for this to randomly pull up. Now, what's going to be really interesting is, does ETH drag up BTC here? It might. It might, because I think ETH just looks better. I think that's because more people are selling BTC than they're selling ETH. That's my opinion. That's all I have for this one. Give me a like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe, and happy trading.